Talmud Torah. אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור בה"א והביטורים והעריות וגמילות חסדים ותלמוד תורה. denk ich, sei noch die Kaiser. Es geht doch nicht weg an Nacht a Tag. Und nur ich tracht von dir, und nur ich träum von dir. Von dir, du Leben meins, du hast in
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome, everybody. It's wonderful to see you here in person in the sanctuary and out in the universe if you're joining us via live stream. We're so thrilled to be together and to welcome Shabbat together. We'll begin in the Siddur on page 34.
Yedi nefesh avarachaman, Yedi nefesh avarachaman, Meshochav dach, Eretz sonach, Meshochav dach, Ya lai 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 Eretz sonach, Yarutz avdach kemo ayal, Yishtachavei alai, Ya lai 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 El muladar, Yerav lo, Yedidutach, Minofet sufi alai, Ya lai 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 Vechol ta'am.
We want to welcome you if you are here for the first time in a long time, If you are back to being here whenever you can be here, if you're watching at home. Do we have anyone who's here at CBST for the very first time tonight? Any newcomers in the room? Welcome. Stand up and introduce yourself. Shabbat Shalom. We're thrilled that you're here, and you'll get to see once we're up on the beam a little bit later. Yeah. And you? Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful to have you. Welcome. Tonight we're also celebrating November birthdays. So if you have a birthday the month of November, we want to invite you up to light the candles at a reasonable distance. You can come down if you want. Oh, I love this. This works out perfectly.
I've never been here for the November birthdays before.
Excellent timing. He's also November birthday. It's a big month in your family?
Yeah, big month.
Excellent. And a little birdie just told me you're running the marathon on Sunday. Excellent. All right, we'll be cheering you on. So the blessing for the candles is on page 38, and go ahead and light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Page 40, please stand in body or in spirit. Stay up if you want.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Ni melech malchei hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom. Wish each other Shabbat Shalom. And in the chat, we want to thank Sharon for helping us moderate the chat. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Page 52, please be seated.
לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. נריה, נריה לצור אישנו, נקדמה פניו ותודה. נריה, נריה לצור אישנו, בזמירות נריה לו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני.
Page 58 at the single asterisk.
זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה. 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 זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה.
If you need a little help guiding your way through the service, the back to front service outline can show you where we are, what's coming next, and also tell you the composers of the beautiful settings that Sam has chosen for tonight to lead us through this, into and through the Shabbat. We'll continue on page 62 with Psalm 29. Please stand in body or in spirit.
מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני בנעלים, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז, הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, השתחוו לאדוני בחדרת קודש, כל אדוני על המים, אל הכבוד הרים. אדוני על מים רבים, אדוני על מים רבים. איי איי איי, כל אדוני בכוח, כל אדוני בחדל, כל אדוני שובר ארזים, וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל, לבנון בסיריון, כמו בן רמים, איי איי איי, כל אדוני חוצב להבות אש, כל אדוני יכיל מדבר, יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל אדוני חולל איילות, ויחשוף יערות, ובהיכלו כולו מרכבות, איי איי איי, אדוני למבול ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום.
Please be seated. Lecha Dodi is on page 66 in the Siddur, and it is a song of great joy and celebration as we imagine welcoming in Shabbat as if we were welcoming in a queen, as if we were welcoming in a bride. The key to Lecha Dodi is remembering that it's a metaphor. And it can be a little tricky because we all have a tendency to literalize metaphors and to actually imagine them the way they're written on the page. We've done a little bit of work in this Siddur to try to help us along, to remind us that this is, in fact, metaphor, that when we talk about the romance, between the Jewish people and Shabbat, it's about us being able to really just revel in having a day that's different from all the other days, in having a break, in having a day where we can try to connect to joy instead of to-do lists and all of the things that we worry about and all of the things that we have to get done. But it is a metaphor that can leave a lot of people out and that can make us wonder how we're doing in the world, how we are in our relationships, if we feel lonely, if we feel alone. And what we try to do, and you'll see there's a note on the bottom of page 68, is to really reframe this language so that instead of literally in the traditional text, it actually talks about a bride and a groom rejoicing, which is not the most apt metaphor, not only for many of us in this room, but many people in the universe. And to have a song, which is supposed to be the pinnacle, joyous moment of Kabbalat Shabbat, actually be extremely alienating and triggering, doesn't work so well. And so, as much as we are very happily actually about to be celebrating an upcoming wedding this evening, we know that that is the story for some people, but it's not the story for everybody. And we want to celebrate each of us in the paths that we are taking, in the family that we create through our friends, through our family of choice, through the people with whom we surround ourselves to fill our lives with joy. And that is the Shabbat that we are celebrating. That is the Shabbat that we are joyously welcoming into us, that we can imagine, and this can be really hard for a lot of us, that our relationship with the divine is as joyous as the most joyful moment of celebration, of relaxation, of the times in which we feel the most surrounded by love and the most fulfilled. And for each of us, those times are different. And even in the course of each of our lives, those times can feel very different. Sometimes that can feel far away, and sometimes it's very easy to access. And so Lecha Dodi tries to invite us to access that kind of joy in whichever way it's available to us this evening. Page 66.
Yalla la 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 Lecha Dodi, Yalla la 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 לקראת כלה, יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקב אליו. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקב אליו. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקב אליו. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה. רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקב אליו. התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי. על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי, קורבה אל נפשי גאלה. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקב אליו. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה. יאללה פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. איי, לך דודי, איי, לקראת כלה, איי, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. לא תבושי ולא תקלמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תחמי, בך יחסו עניי עמי, ונבנתה עיר אצילה. איי, לך דודי, איי, לקראת כלה, איי, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. והיו למשיסה שוסייך, ורחקו כל מבלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהיך, כמשוש לב באהבה. איי, לך דודי, איי, לקראת כלה, איי, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, על יד איש ואין פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. איי, לך דודי, איי, לקראת כלה, איי, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת שכינה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. איי, לך דודי, איי, לקראת כלה, איי, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
Please be seated. We'll pause now to welcome back into our midst mourners. Michael Sandberg, who tragically lost his sister, Joan Tabor, on October 31st, and Andy Austin, we welcome you back into the community, and we welcome them using the words on page 71. Hamakom yinachem etchem betoch sha'ar avelim veyavi lachem shalom. May God comfort you among all who mourn and bring you peace.
Amen.
Page 72, a psalm for Shabbat, a psalm of gratitude. The reason we welcome mourners in at this spot is because the previous psalms are considered too joyful to tolerate when you're in the midst of mourning, when you're deep in that moment. But you still get to have Shabbat, which is a pause from the intense practices of Shiva. And so we welcome you in at this point for this psalm, the psalm for Shabbat.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. טוב להודות לאדוני וזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת.
This week, Ethiopian Jews observe the holiday of Sigd, which is observed 50 days after Simchat Torah. And I want to thank Shapwanan, who always makes sure that we are aware of and marking the holy days and the significant moments of world Jewry, even if they may be new to some of us. We're really honored this evening to have on video a greeting from Israeli-Ethiopian activist Efrat Irdai. Efrat is a phenomenal human being and a brilliant, brilliant scholar, and a very, very powerful activist in the Israeli-Ethiopian Jewish community. She first came on my radar just about a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, when she was the recipient of the New Israel Fund's Galanter Prize for emerging activists in Israeli society. She and her organization, the Association for Ethiopian Jews, is the leading Ethiopian Jewish organization in Israel, and one of their recent achievements, which you'll hear her talk about, is the holiday of Sigd is now an official holiday in Israel, which was not an easy process in the making. So we're going to turn to a video from her speaking from her home in Israel.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi El Rapoport, for inviting me to say a few words about the Sigd and about our organization. So I'm Efrat Irdai. I'm the chairperson of the Association for Ethiopian Jews, which is an association that deals mostly with systemic racism. We're doing it through research, advocacy, and lobbying. And actually, it's relevant to the Sigd holiday because one of our big achievement is to turn this holiday as a national public holiday, and it's part of the Israeli calendar. So in this day you can take a day off as an Israeli citizen, and this is one of the things we're doing to try as a community, as an organization that see the marginalization of the Ethiopian Jewish community. This is one of our ways to take this holiday and turn it into an Israeli holiday and not only an Ethiopian holiday. So in this day in Ethiopia, this day was a day of communal retrospection and a mark of the renewal of the covenant between God, the Jewish people, and the Torah. and one of the criteria to be um, saved from the exile is a community retrospection. If we think about Yom Kippur, it's more an individual retrospection, and you need to pray for the forgiveness of your sins. And here, the Ethiopian tradition believes that in order to come back to our homeland, to Jerusalem, we need to be pure from the community sins, not only the individual sins. And I think it's very relevant also in Israel, while we're not in the diaspora. I think as a community and as an Israeli society, we have a lot of sins in our pocket, and I think it's a day that is giving us an opportunity to ask ourselves where we want to be, how can we change, how can we do tikkun in Israeli society, which is, in our days, it's a very divided society, it's very racist society to many groups, not only to Ethiopian Israelis. And I think this day and our thought that this day can be one of the day that been marked in the Israeli calendar, it can give us an opportunity to recon about social change and our responsibility to the ways we behave as community, as a group, as a people. So I thought I gave you some points to think about. And Malkambal, have a good Sigd holiday. Maybe I should add that this day, it's not, though in Israel it turned into an Ethiopian culture celebration, it's a day of fasting and reckoning and more with the characters of Yom Kippur. So I'm sure your community is a community that connected to the ideas of Tikkun Olam and the Tikkun of our own communities and social change. And this is an opportunity for you to think about each one's community and how we can be better for our real geula, not only like the materialistic geula of coming back to Israel, but then spiritually we're not really in a geula situation. So Shabbat Shalom, and thank you again.
Geula means redemption, is what she was talking about in the end. And I highly encourage you to look up Efrat Yerdai's organization, the Association of Ethiopian Jews. They have a very informative website, so you can learn more about the community and the work that they are doing in Israel today, which is so important and led by some truly inspirational people like Efrat Yerdai. Page 78, we turn to the Baruch Hu to begin the Mariv service. Please stand in body or in spirit.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated. Page 80.
מעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים, amen.
Page 86. These parshiot, these portions in Genesis right now are so much about competition. This week's Parsha Toldot is about the fractious relationship between Yaakov and Esav, Jacob and Esau, twins who were at each other's throats from before they were born. And I think that the text of Ahavat Olam, which is part of every evening's liturgy, and its counterpart, Ahava Rabbah in the morning, are kind of a balancing out of this message we could walk away from Genesis from, that love is limited, that it's going to run out, that there's not enough to go around for all of the siblings, and that maybe there's a time limit, that if you don't act quickly, you're going to somehow not have enough love to go around or to last you through your life. And so Ahavat Olam is about the lasting love, to really be in the place, in the awareness that love doesn't have to run out, that we can find it throughout our lives and be surrounded by it in different ways.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta, Torah umitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu, ufumenu nasiach b'chukecha, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגי יומם ולילה, נהגי יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. אמן. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם נאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
We continue individually in Hebrew and English through the bottom of page 93.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Page 94 at the double asterisk.
This is an oldie but a goodie, so I want to hear loud voices. Mi chamocha va'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nora tehilot, osef לפני משה ומרים זה לי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד מי כמוך ואלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש מי כמוך ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל אמן.
5 years ago this week, we woke up after the presidential election, and many of us felt terrified and vulnerable and deeply, deeply unsure about what would happen. And as Rabbi Kleinbaum has spoken of many times, she was also thinking that morning that as terrified as she was, as a Jewish woman, as a lesbian living in this country, that even more vulnerable, even more at risk, given the tenor of the horrible conversations around the election, were American Muslims. And that Friday, the first Friday after the 2016 election, 5 years ago exactly, for the first time, Rabbi Kleinbaum and a group of CBST members and staff came to the Islamic Center of NYU to greet worshipers to Friday Juma prayers with love and support as Jewish New Yorkers, as Jewish neighbors in the city. And I was there that first day, and some of you were as well, and it was such an incredible feeling to be overwhelmed with love in a moment of so much fear. And that, of course, began a beautiful partnership, which became House of Peace, the beautiful, beautiful Muslim-Jewish partnership that arose between CBST and ICNYU. And every single Friday, in every weather, a group went to stand outside of Juma prayers on Friday every single Friday until it was interrupted by the pandemic. And that blossomed into many moments of partnership and support. CBS team members coming to help serve iftar, the meal after Ramadan, members of ICNYU coming to usher at high holiday services, and I'm still so moved to remember the Friday after the horrific shooting at Tree of Life Synagogue, when members of ICNYU came here to stand outside of CBST. So we are thrilled this evening, and we'll invite him up after Hashkivenu to have Manzoor Ahmed, who is part of House of Peace, to come and read a prayer for peace. First, Sam will sing the words of Hashkivenu on page 98.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim ufros aleinu sukat shelomecha v'taknenu b'etzah tova milfanecha v'hoshienu leman shemecha v'hoshienu leman shemecha ushmot tzedkenu uvoenu lechaim uleshalom me'ata ve'ad olam ufros aleinu sukat shelomecha sukat shelomecha Baruch atah Adonai aporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al kol ha'amim ve'al Yerushalayim.
And we're so grateful to Harold Levine for his incredible leadership in this initiative and for that beautiful slideshow and your photographs. And it's now my pleasure to invite Manzoor Ahmed to read a poem by Yehuda Amichai.
The place where we are right. From the place we are right, flowers will never grow in the spring. The place where we are right is hard and trampled like a yard. But doubts and loves dig up the world like a mole in a plow, like a mole a plow. And a whisper will be heard in the place where the ruined house once stood.
Thank you so much for being with us. Page 102. Please stand in body or in spirit for Vishamro.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
You know, I miss Joyce, who's away this Shabbat on the piano, but I have to say that, well, first of all, it's very fun to be with you on the guitar, Sam. But I don't know if it's because we have the guitar and not the piano, or if there are more people here, but I can really hear singing in the room, and it is so fantastic. I have missed it so much, and it's just so beautiful to have the room filled with singing voices. Masked singing voices.
Fully vaxxed and masked.
Fully vaxxed and masked and singing, and it's just glorious. We remain standing for Chatzi Kaddish, which is on page 104, after which we'll go directly into the silent standing Amidah. The words of the Amidah are in the Siddur on pages 106 through 119. There's also an alternative Amidah beginning on page 124. This time is yours. It's for you. Use it however you need to use it tonight. Using these words on the page, using the words in your heart, just closing your eyes and being in this space. It's your time.
יתקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דירה קידותי ואמליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתיעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה. בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן.
If you haven't finished your personal Amidah, please take your time. If you are finished, please join us on page 116 at the asterisk.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol Shalom, ki ata hu melech adon lechol shalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim טוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We pray for healing, page 131. Misha Berach, may the one who blessed our ancestors, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, and Zilpah, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, bless us too. Bless and heal all those who are ill. We pray tonight for refuah, for healing, for Kenneth Adler, Gitta Leah, Bat Chava V'Yosef, Anne Gregory, Donna Johnson, Maya Orley, Bat Esther, Joel Moses, Randy Sarakoff, Rose Wanen, Yehudit Bat Yirmiyahu. Please add out loud or in the chat the names of anyone else for whom you pray for healing tonight. May God, who granted blessings to our ancestors and healed them of their pain, also remember us today and visit us with your blessings. May you give comfort and strength to all of us who are ill and help us to be well again. Remember those of us whose bodies need comfort and strength, healing and renewal. Remember, too, those of us who are faint of heart, whose pain and anguish are emotional and psychological pain of the soul rather than of the body. Give strength to those of us who are fighting the many dependencies and addictions of the modern world, and give us the strength to proceed in our recoveries. Help all of us as we are affected by HIV, AIDS, cancers, COVID-19, and other diseases, those of us who are ill, those who are not but may yet be, and those who are affected by the suffering of others. Bring healing to our families and friends and all we know. God, heal us of our illnesses, physical, emotional, and spiritual, and let us find shalom. Remember us and all others who need your help. Refa'enu Adonai v'nerafeh, Hoshienu v'nivashea. Heal us, Eternal One, and we shall be healed. Save us, and we will be protected. Provide us a full healing from all our afflictions. Praised are you, healer of the sick.
Amen.
We also have a celebration in our midst this evening. First, for the prayer for the country, I'm inviting just Andrew Kaplan, right? Yes? Okay, so Andrew, please join us for the prayer for the country. Your own mic. And then, do you know which half you want to read?
Source of all life, guide our leaders with righteousness, strengthen their hearts, but keep them from hardening, that they may use their influence and authority to speak truth and act for justice. May all who dwell in this country share in its bounty, enjoy its freedoms, and be protected by its laws. May this nation use its power and wealth to be a voice for justice, peace, and equality for all who dwell on earth. May we be strong and have courage, to be bold in our action and deep in our compassion, to discern when we must listen and when we must act, to uproot bigotry, intolerance, misogyny, racism, discrimination, and violence in all its forms, to celebrate the many faces of God reflected in the wondrous diversity of humanity, to welcome the stranger and the immigrant, and to honor the gifts of those who seek refuge and possibility here, as they have since before this nation was born. Let justice well up like waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Amen.
It's extra special because you wrote it and you're right next to me, you know?
Thank you. So now we're going to invite Paul Robertson to come up and join Andrew It's a little preview to when you're going to be standing up together under the chuppah very, very soon. And we are so thrilled to give you words of blessing as you prepare to embark on this journey of a life together. And it is so beautiful to have moments to celebrate and to be able to do that together in community. And it is not something to be taken for granted. If we ever did, we certainly do not now. And we are so, so happy to be able to bless you and celebrate with you in person. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless you, Andrew and Paul, who will soon stand under the chuppah. May you build a home filled with love and companionship, affection and peace. Help you to be modest in your demands of each other, but generous in your giving to each other. God, grant them the strength to be honest and gentle with each other. May they not measure how much love they offer or count how many times they forgive. May they become a family dedicated to the transformation of the world, the love of learning, and the practice of good deeds. May they thrive in good health and security, and may the Holy One dwell with them in their love. And we say, Amen. Please stand if you can.
Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov. Yehelanu, 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 ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael.
At least you guys get to hug each other.
Yeah, it's a pod.
So a little gift from the synagogue for you to help stock your home as you begin this next stage of your journey together. And Mazel Tov, may you know so much joy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mazel Tov. Yay. Page 138, you can be seated.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
אמן.
בעלמא דברה קריאותיו, וימליך מלכותיו, וחייכון ויומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה. בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו, אמן. תתקבל צלות הון ובאות הון, לכל ישראל קודם אבו הון דיבי שמיה ואמרו, אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו, אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן.
It's my pleasure to welcome to the Bima for some words of Torah tonight, Cooperberg Master Rabbinical Intern Yael Werber. You may have heard from her just a few weeks ago by a trick of the calendar and reshuffling. We're getting to kind of front load her dress show this year, but as you have experienced already, if you heard her on the High Holidays and if you heard her a few weeks ago, she has a lot of Torah to teach. Yael is in her final year of rabbinical school at Hebrew College in Boston, and it's my pleasure to welcome you.
Time I remembered to do this part first, so that's pretty good already. Thank you so much, and before I start, I just want to say that it feels like such a blessing to be in this community, to be part of this community that does such a beautiful job acknowledging both the smachot, the happy times, and also the hard times in life. And I just want to take a moment to really, really appreciate that. So blessed and happy to be with you all for this Shabbat. I'm going to speak about Parshat Toldot, but first I would like to tell you about my favorite TV show that's currently on the air. So my favorite TV show is the reality show Survivor. Hopefully some nods of recognition. Yes, exactly. So yes, it's that old show from 2000 where people have to outlast each other while living on an island and trying to survive both physically and socially. And there's a new season this fall. And last week, the show did something that they've never done before. They had the contestants run a challenge in 2 teams. One team won and was able to go enjoy a feast, their first food since arriving on the island. And the other team, and they also won immunity from being voted off. That's very important in the game. I'm happy to speak about it with anybody after Shabbat services. And the other team got nothing. However, they then sent a separate contestant to an island to make a decision. And the decision was they had the power to reverse the outcome of the challenge. So they presented her with an hourglass, and they said that if she smashed the hourglass, then the team that just won is now the losers, and the team that didn't win are now the winners, and they are immune from getting voted out of the game. So as a friend of mine said after watching the episode, the decision seemed to be, do you want to do nothing and have everything stay exactly the same, or do you want to break the hourglass and get everything you want? Do nothing or smash something. It might sound like a ridiculous reality TV bit, but I think it actually represents our own lives pretty well. So often, we are presented with a decision point, and it boils down to, do you want to keep things the way they are, or do you want to break something open and step into a new timeline? Signing on to a new job, taking on a new title, revealing your feelings for someone in a new relationship, deciding to move cross-country, signing your name to a petition or a potentially provocative letter. There is comfort and security in staying where you are, but there can also be freedom and opportunity on the other side. I want to be clear, there is often no right answer here. Each is a path with its own possibilities and hardships. Neither is without risk or reward. There is also no correct timeline. Sometimes this process can take a very long time. However, there comes a point where you need to ask yourself, do you want to smash the hourglass? Adrienne Rich describes this more eloquently in her poem titled, Prospective Immigrants, Please Take Note. She writes, either you will go through this door or you will not go through. If you go through, there is always the risk of remembering your name. Things look at you doubly and you must look back and let them happen. If you do not go through, it is possible to live worthily, to maintain your attitudes, to hold your position, to die bravely. But much will blind you. Much will evade you. At what cost, who knows? The door itself makes no promises. It is only a door. Smashing through a wall to create a door is typically much harder than just waiting for someone to open the door and let you in. But I speak for myself and say, sometimes that waiting is just as hard, if not harder. And so, either to my detriment or my benefit, I often choose to smash the hourglass. And spoiler alert, so does the contestant on Survivor. This week finds Yaakov Avinu, Jacob, in a similar inflection point. Rivka sets up an elaborate ruse for him to trick his father into giving him Esau's blessing. Jacob has the option to go through with his mother's plan of deceit and in return can become the patriarch of the Jewish people, rewarded with abundance and blessing, or he can choose to keep things the way they are and not upend tradition. If he goes through with it, like in the Adrienne Rich poem, there is the risk, and actually, as we know, the guarantee of history remembering his name. If he doesn't go through with it, he may continue to live a simple life as an ish tam. But again, in looking to Rich's words, he may find that history has evaded him. So, does he want to smash the hourglass? The modern Torah commentator Aviva Zornberg points out that from the beginning of his life, Jacob is most often characterized by what he does not do rather than what he does. The text says Esau was a man of the field. He would go out and hunt and bring back game. Jacob, by contrast, sits at home in the tents. Esau is described as ruddy and hairy. Jacob is instead characterized not by his appearance, but rather by his lack of similarity to Esav. Where Esav is hairy, Jacob is smooth. If one were to bet based on previous knowledge, it is likely you would bet on Jacob not going through with his mother's plan and staying inside his shell instead. However, much like my own Yetzer, Jacob has been endowed with the spirit of running and fighting from the beginning of his life. When the text says Rivka is pregnant with 2 nations in her womb, and they are battling. And the Hebrew word here is yitrotzitzu. The word yitrotzitzu comes from the root word roots, which means in Hebrew to run. Both babies are running towards their fates, and this is Jacob's moment to run towards his. He chooses to go through with it, and once he does, there is no turning back. There is a midrash that describes this moment of Jacob becoming someone new, both externally in the sense that he impersonates Esau, but also internally, becoming a new man, stepping into his power. The midrash says, when Jacob left his father's presence with the blessing that was meant to be Esau's, he was adorned like a bridegroom and like a bride. Reviving dew rained down on him, fat covered his bones, and he became a champion fighter and athlete. Aviva Zornberg says he leaves with a radiant awareness of new possibilities that spring from deep within the self. I think smashing our way through something does not always feel very good. It is not comfortable. It is hard to break with tradition. It is hard to do something unexpected of you. It is hard to be vulnerable and to say what it is you want, and then also to be brave enough to go after it. However, this radical transformation of Jacob from a simple man who stays in the comfort of the tent to a man who is suddenly a powerful force who must now break out from his parents' home is a powerful description of what it can look like to break the hourglasses of our own lives. Breaking through the old and entrenched ways of our being might require envisioning ourselves as entirely new people, ones who can use our voice when we are used to being silent, or as ones who can leave home when we are used to staying. It often means looking at the status quo and deciding it must change. It often means confronting the shame we carry inside of ourselves and looking it in the eye, reminding ourselves that we are worthy of what we desire, of what we dream about. The risk of staying silent or staying the same suddenly outweighs the risk of speaking out. Breaking something open inside of ourselves can lead to frissions and cracks, which we see with Jacob and Esau as well, and that terrifying feeling of being known. But if we choose to do it, if we choose to say yes to smashing whatever door was closed to us before, it can, as in the case of Jacob, lead to radiance and revival. But after all, the door is only a door. We can only listen to the still, small voice inside ourselves and ask, is it worth it to walk through? Shabbat Shalom.
So beautiful. It's such a gift to get to learn Torah from students who are immersed in Torah in such deep ways in their lives right now. So really, thank you, thank you. We turn now to Aleinu on page 140. Please stand if you're able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שברא אותנו בצלמו, ונפח בנו את נשמת חיינו, שהעמיק אותנו בלימוד תורתו, וקידשנו במצוותיה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We pause now to remember those who we have loved, who are no longer here with us on this earth. This week, the CBST community extends our condolences to members Michael Sandberg and Andy Austin on the death just on Sunday of Michael's sister, Joan S. Tabor. We also offer condolences to the families, friends, and communities of all those who are dying each day from the COVID-19 pandemic. As of today, the total number of deaths are 34,602 in New York City, 57,186 in New York State, 772,315 across the U.S., and 5,048,511 worldwide. This week, we mark the yahrzeits of CBST members David Alter, Saul Goldman, Gerald Meltzer, Kenneth Meyerson, Fred Sachs, and Rose Shiner. Also, beloved family and friends Alice Alpert, Leah Bernstein, Ian Keith Bussey, Jason Finn, Daniel Friedman, Jean Friedman, Jack Garmez, Samuel Carpel, Lillian Levy, Renee Levy, Lloyd Melnick, Beverly Pollock, Jeanette Roger Amise, Sarah Shack, Edward Schwartz, Henry Snyder, Seymour Typograph, Herbert Weinberg, Sylvia Wilson. Please say out loud the names or write in the chat of anyone else who you're remembering this evening. If you're in mourning or saying Kaddish, or if it's your custom to do so, please stand. Kaddish is on page 150. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei decho beit Israel. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach leolam ulyomei omaya. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו amen.
Amen.
May the one who brings peace in the heavens bring somehow peace and comfort to all who mourn. Amen. Please be seated. It's my pleasure to invite Lee Goldberg, future marathon runner, from our board for tonight's announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi. And are we on here? Hey, everyone. Really great to be back here after, it's been 20 plus months since I've gotten to do this in person. So I'll take a little time up here. And good to see all of you, of course. Shabbat Shalom. So, so much gratitude to be here tonight, and what beautiful services. I'll start with our service leadership, Rabbi Cohen. Thank you so much. I thought your teaching on Lecha Dodi was very special. I think it's as an LGBTQ community, there's so many allusions to straight marriage in our society, not just in Judaism. And I really appreciate the efforts that you went to when you put together our Siddur to make that as inclusive as possible. So thank you for that. Sam, our Baal Tefillah cantorial intern, Sam Rosen. Sam, tonight it really felt like kind of two worlds colliding. You playing the guitar with Debbie Friedman and Jeff Klepper, soulful, Shabbastic. It felt like I was back home at the synagogue I grew up in, and to make that even more so, my parents are here tonight. So, and that was my dad, who was up here for the birthdays before. But last summer, so summer 2020, I went up to my parents' place in July, planning on staying for a week or two. And I ended up staying until October. So it was really one of the silver linings of the pandemic that I got to spend so much time with them. And I think that's something that I've tried to do. This has been a really tough 20 months, but there are those little nuggets that we can find that actually made it a very special time. And that was really special to me. Cooperberg, Master Rabbinical Intern, Yael Werber. That was beautiful drash tonight. Thank you so much. I always kind of think about the transformation of Yaakov when he wrestles the angel and becomes Israel. And I thought it was really interesting how you cited a source where he becomes that championship fighter actually earlier on. So thank you for that teaching tonight. It was thought-provoking. Andrew and Paul, it was so great to be here to celebrate with both of you. You know, during the pandemic, I think that the expression that people smile with their eyes, I think we all learned how accurate that is as you look at people smiling over their masks and realizing, you know, that person's smiling at me. That person's definitely not smiling at me. But, you know, as both of you stood up here, you could see the joy radiating from your eyes. It was really beautiful. Mazel tov. And then also thank you to Efrat Yerdai for her remarks on Sigd, and to Mansour Ahmed for reciting that prayer for peace. We're so grateful for your coming here tonight, and Rabbi Cohen, that was really. I also appreciate your mentioning the presence of our friends from the Islamic Center who were here giving out roses on the Friday following the Tree of Life massacre. That was a very, very special occasion. Okay, so now to the more mechanical announcements. Services continue tomorrow morning at 9:30 with our yoga meditation minyan, and that is going to be led by Rabbi Yael Rapport and CBST member Corey Dane. And actually, it's going to be in here in person and also on Zoom. So we'll be doing the hybrid format tomorrow. And Limud B'Shabbat will also be here tomorrow. And that is at 10 o'clock. And then Shabbat concludes tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. with a Zoom Havdalah led by Judy Ribnick. So we have a busy week ahead. We have introduction to Mishnah with Rabbi Mike Moskowitz, which will meet Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 10 a.m. this week. It will not meet on Thursday because it's Veterans Day, and the CBST office and building will also be closed on Veterans Day, so don't come here or call. Monday evening at 6 p.m., we'll have our next town hall where we'll talk with Rabbi Yael Rapport and President Sabrina Farber about the assistant rabbi search. Rabbi Rapport and Sabrina will present some background information and timeline and introduce the members of the search committee. Members should have received an email today with the registration information, and if you didn't receive that, you can let me know afterwards or email the office. On Wednesday at 7 p.m., join Cooperberg Rittmaster Rabbinical intern Dave Yadid for Hidden and Revealed, stories of closeting and coming out in our sacred texts. I wonder if he talks about Jacob, actually, dressing in drag. This is a 3-part series that began last week, but class recordings will be available to new registrants. Also on Wednesday at 7 p.m., CBST will be co-sponsoring Beyond the Almost Promised Land, a conversation with Hasia Diner. Join CBST in the Workers' Circle for a 2-part discussion between writer and historian Hasia Diner and writer and Yiddish performer Anthony Mordechai Zvi Russell, where they'll be reflecting on Diner's influential work, illuminating critical themes that shape how we advance racial justice today. Finally, a note about our annual Broadway event, Broadway at CBST, where Seth Rudetsky and his superstar pals will join us for a concert benefiting music at CBST. So it is scheduled for Monday, Monday, I wish, December 6th at 7 p.m. Okay, there is a chance that it's going to get switched to the following Monday, which is December 13th. We will let you know if that happens, so just keep an eye out for your email, for an email from the synagogue about that. It's a live show with limited tickets, and it will also, of course, stream online. Regardless, tickets and donations will open early next week, so again, watch for an email and check out the website for more information. With that, Shabbat Shalom.
Tonight's live stream and Zoom, tonight's live stream is sponsored by the CBST board, clergy, and staff in honor of Andrew Kaplan and Paul Robertson on their Ufruf, Mazel Tov, by Erica Foreman in memory of her beloved father, Manuel Foreman, Zichrono Livracha, on his 12th yahrzeit, and her dear uncles, Jules Perlmutter, Zichrono Livracha, on his 2nd yahrzeit. She misses you both every day. Alan Levy and Barry Carpel in loving memory of Renee Rose Levy, Zichrono Livracha, and Samuel Carpel, Zichrono Livracha, and in loving memory of Morris Levy, Zichrono Livracha, who would have been 100 years old on November 8th. By Marcia Melnick in remembrance of her beloved brother Lloyd Melnick, Zichrona Livracha, on his 35th yahrzeit, forever in our hearts. By Lawrence Nelson in memory of Joyce Clanet Artadi, Zichrona Livracha, who was his late sister Margie's best friend and godmother to his nibbling Ellis Ellen, who passed away Saturday at 8:38 p.m. in Snohomish, Washington State. It's also supported by Aleinu, Mazel Tov to Andrew and Paul, wishing you a lifetime of love and joyous memories from your Aleinu community. By Jeannie Heller in memory of her father Martin on his second yahrzeit. It's still difficult to adjust to watching Eagles games without him by her side. By Jeannie Heller in memory of Charlotte Meyer Hinius, Zichrona Livracha, 10/27/2021. She fought hard for her life, thinking of those who loved her that have been left devastated. By Linda Solomon and Bonnie Siegel in honor of the Lair House and the wonderful teachers who have kept us all learning while filling our days with so much good. Thank you. Also, don't forget to fall back, everyone. And also by Itala T. Rudder. Thank you, everybody. Kiddush is on page 156 in the Siddur. Please stand. Oh, wait, I forgot.
Non Common
Western Geo. I got too excited
One
about
more
the
song before.
Kiddush sponsorships. One more song
155.
first, which is on page 155.
Ein Keloheinu, ein Kadonenu, ein Kemalkeinu, ein Kemoshienu, non como vuestro Dios, non como vuestro Señor, non como vuestro Rey, non como vuestro Salvador. Mich Eloheinu, mich Adonenu, mich Malkeinu, mich Moshienu, quien como vuestro Dios, quien como vuestro Señor, quien como vuestro Rey, quien como vuestro Salvador. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu. Lo haremos a nuestro Dios, lo haremos a nuestro Señor, lo haremos a nuestro Rey, lo haremos a nuestro Salvador. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Bendito nuestro Dios, bendito nuestro Señor, bendito nuestro Rey, bendito nuestro Salvador. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Tú el nuestro Dios, tú el nuestro Señor, tú el nuestro Rey, tú el nuestro Salvador.
And now for Kiddush on page 156. You can stand.
יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי וחברותיי, לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחין לנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת עם כל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
And now imagine you're touching someone who's touching someone who's touching the challah. Just imagine. Go for it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.